Welcome to the Cleaning with Purpose podcast. Jeff, it's such an honor being on a journey with you.
Thank you.
This podcast, we really want to talk about office cleaning and commercial cleaning and these different areas through that lens. And so to start this conversation, I'd love to know, and we've talked about this in previous podcasts a little bit, the evolution and history of Crystal Clean as far as these areas of cleaning and what the kind of goal is as we go into the recording of this, by the way, is November 2024. So going to 2025, how can we really help our service area, Southwest Florida, understand and know what it takes to keep things clean through the lens of this particular podcast topic? So let's start with the types of cleaning that we've shared: office, industrial, medical. You want to go ahead and kind of talk about that for a little bit?
Yeah, throughout the history of Crystal Clean, common area cleaning with the HOAs and the towers built up a workforce that was going out daily. And with that common area cleaning in place and the recurring, it's not that office cleaning had ever been necessarily ignored. It just, there was so much work amongst the HOAs that we didn't necessarily seek it out. So you take the last few years and we've really grown the office cleaning. And we have some really nice local big companies that have trusted us to come in and clean every day. So office cleaning has kind of taken off, and we want to do more of it. It is another cycle of work that we're very comfortable and confident with. And as you go through the categories of office cleaning, you have the smaller offices that maybe independently owned and operated. It could be a dentist's office and doctor's offices at a small scale, and realtor offices, and so on and so forth. Our world is full of them. And then you get into the very large complexes, and that's where things can get a little trickier because, again, the need starts to elevate. So in an office, you always do have the common areas that people come and go into a lobby, and it needs to represent for the company. The restrooms, always a key area. You can't have overflowing trash and dirty, poor maintenance, all these things that would stand out that would just be really a terrible mark against any particular business. So we get to help facilitate all those things. In an office environment, you're especially aware to make sure you're maintaining what is important to the company you're working for as well. And so we have very large-scale offices that are in the scientific world, and everything is really meant to be kept pristine. It's world headquarters. Executives come and go, knowing the areas that people will be especially sensitive to. Having day porter routines to keep things up through the day, having evening staff to make sure they get all the garbage and all the floors and all the restrooms. It's been a really nice growth area for us from a business perspective, but on a personal level, it's really fun and nice to work with some of these big office environments and be a part of their team as the ones who facilitate the regular cleaning.
One thing that I really love about what you shared is that depending on the scope of the job, there's different frequencies or cadences of how you approach it to keep pristine, to keep the perception of the place.
That's where I think our scale really helps. So to a person who wants to, doctors and dentist offices are a really good example of where a small company, just an individual can say, I'm going to go get a cleaning job. And that's part of what we compete with, and that's okay. Nothing against cleaners out there making a living. I'm happy for them. But if it's once a week and it's a doctor's office, it's pretty simple to find maybe a person local that does a good job. And we do offices like that, but the next level is we can't afford for any inconsistencies. So if a cleaner can't make it, we need a replacement cleaner. If we're supposed to clean on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, or Wednesday, Saturday, if we're supposed to clean after hours, it starts to get more difficult to staff for a lot of people to go, well, I don't know that I can get people consistently in these different categories. But again, with our scale, we blossom out to where we have over 100 cleaners that work for us. So people who are looking for part-time work or evening work, they can look to Crystal Clean and go, well, what can I do over the weekend to make a little extra money? Or what if I only want to work 2 evenings a week? So with our scale and with our staff, we're able to facilitate a lot of the offices that have multiple days, but different days through the week, or even on the weekends, or in the evenings, or some really early morning. Some of our cleaners like to work 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. So we're able to facilitate what is needed in the office cleaning world when it can be a little more difficult maybe for just a person to take on and provide what's needed for the office owner. As it grows in scale, it becomes more important for someone like Crystal Clean to come in and provide the labor force and the techniques and all the things that go with that.
One thing that I love about what you shared is this, and this comes back to the onboarding and the quoting process, is that with your knowledge, wisdom, skill, in Crystal Clean's history, 4 decades now, we are real clear on what it looks like to have specific frequencies, cadences for specific business types. And as a business grows, which is happening all over the place here in Southwest Florida, especially in the last decade, we can scale with you. So these pieces are really important to unpack as part of the bigger offering of where Crystal Clean, I would like to say, is more magnificent, is an exceptional company in the context that if we're coming in and you're a single office, but you grow to multiple offices, gotcha. If you're coming in and you're a single office that acquires more office space, we can grow with you. If you're like a 4-story or 5-story scientific organization, one of the ones that we work with is that, we can build teams of people to come in at specific cadences to keep things where they need to be kept. And the operative word, we've shared this in many previous podcasts, is consistency over time. And that almost always, when people are looking for new service and they've had previous service, is one of the top issues, consistency over time. Could you talk a little bit about that onboarding or that quote process? Like, what to expect if somebody calls or emails or sends you a contact through the website? What's the next step on Crystal Clean side? How does that flow and what's the timing?
Well, typically, if someone sends in a request just through Google, we get that right away. We're all connected through our phones and sitting at our desks. So we really try to get back with people within an hour or two is our goal. Okay. And it happens most of the time. And if we haven't gotten back within a 24-hour period, it would be highly unusual. I can't even think of a time where I didn't get back within 24 hours. But usually it's same day because it's too easy to at least go, hey, how can we help?
Yeah.
And it gets the conversation started. And for people who are in a hurry, because life is like that. Like they're like, oh, no, I was supposed to get a quote. And they'll tell us their story, and we'll do what we can. So it often includes a site visit. Like, okay, we'll come down and see you and take a look, and we'll talk about that scope of work and talk about what it is that you really need and what we can do to facilitate it and make sure that in the proposal process, if it's going to be competitive, it's nice to know. I don't care who I'm competing with. I just want to know that we're trying to match up things and align things to give us at least a fair shot at the job. So when we're able to pull all that together in relatively short order, then proposals for me usually 2 or 3 days. And if we need to start work, we have we say we like to have 30 days to align operations to start any new job. But the reality is when people go, I really need you to start Monday, we come back, we talk with operations. And again, throughout the history that as I can think of it, we rarely, if ever, have not met a deadline and said, okay, we can do it. I mean, we have cleaners available. We're used to adjusting schedules. So if that's the demand, if that's what really is going to make the client happy in that moment and they need someone to come clean, we're going to be all over it.
I love this. So let's break this down. First of all, let's get this fundamental out of the way. You answer the calls and you reply to them.
Yes. Yeah, we have a real person answering the phone every day. And then, if Jani is her name as our primary, but between Jani, Enfi, Zareth, Aksari, you're going to have a real person answer the phone. If you say, can I talk to Jeff? If I'm sitting at my desk and the phone rings, yeah, I'm going to answer it. I feel like that's an important part of people's experience. I don't know about you, but when I call and get put in the voicemail loop, it really drives me crazy.
Yeah.
My whole thought process in that is they don't even care to talk to me. This is getting really annoying when I have to go from push 1, push 2, find an extension, punch in a person's name, leave a voicemail. We try to remove all of that and make it where you talk to a real human when you call in.
So this is a big part of what seems basic from your and my history and decades of business experience, but answering the call, but then taking care of the customer with some of the values we've talked through in our previous episodes, with care, true compassion. What does that actually mean? It means that Jeff or whoever is working with them actively listens to their struggles, their challenges, their frustrations, and really incorporates, okay, is this what I'm hearing? Got it. Okay. Let me go through. I would like to come out and do a site visit, depending on size or scope of work, to see exactly what would take to accommodate you and take care of these struggles, frustrations, but also set the bar real high for the future to make sure we're living into a scope of work and a delivery of that work that is exceptional across spectrum. And that C word comes back consistently.
Yeah.
So then what you're sharing too is that once they call you, you define what the project is, typically within 2 or 3 days, you're turning that back around in the form of a proposal. And then depending on their need, you, Crystal Clean, the team, is willing to accommodate, and you have the scale to do that. Big part of this, as we've talked about in previous episodes and a little bit today in this episode, is the idea that there's 100+ people in different parts of the actual operations here to move things forward for customers.
Correct. So that is typically how things happen. And it's so that first call tells so much, as you know, and talking to a person, getting a feel for the personality and what they're really asking for and what the requirements are. And you can tell the difference. Some people are just out to get 5 quotes and really don't care. And of course, we respond to that. But, when you have a meaningful conversation with someone, you pick up on that as well. And so over and over again throughout our history, I mean, we've had large and small, but when you connect with people in a very real, meaningful way, like I said, it turns into a program and a relationship that extends well into the future. That's always the goal.
One of the big things we've shared as a big theme in many of our episodes is this idea of exceptional businesses are created from great communication, great systems, delivered consistently. And I just want to make sure we reiterate that through the cleaning process. A big initiative we're kicking off for 2025 is what we call the Crystal Clean Cares initiative, which is a place where people can go online and they can post, and they don't have to give their name, because, we've talked about this. Sometimes we're like, I don't want to be a tattletale. I don't really want to share this. But all they have to provide is the place of service that we're servicing, and then the struggle, challenge, complaint, whatever that is. And then our team's on it. And it's just another way to provide a conduit for people to know we deeply care. We do want to make sure things are right. We've talked about this too, that we're going to do our very best. If there are problems, we want to work on them. But we also need open communication, authenticity, transparency, trust, some of the values that form the Crystal Clean culture. And we're trying to emanate those on our end, and we provide all the conduit for you to have that. But you need to come to us if you got an issue to make sure that we're taking care of it. Our goal, because of the way the systemization and everything else, and we'll get into Crystal Clean University to assure that all the people that we bring into this Crystal Clean family from the employee team side, they are continually educated and reminded of these things. But I just want to really reiterate the fact that we're going into 2025. If we set the bar, and I would challenge everybody on this, listening to this, to set the bar to say, at an individual level, at a professional level, at a business level, what will it take to make 2025 the best year ever? That at least for the services we provide, we're already on that. But also, we want to be part of making your 2025 the best year ever. And just so we have context, our filming here is November of 2024. So with everything I've shared, anything you want to talk through about examples or case studies or illustrations around great communication, great systems, Crystal Clean University, anything come to mind, feel free to share.
Okay, so I'm really happy we're going to put Crystal Clean Cares out there for people.
Yay!
Because typically it's just been maybe when we're on site. And I'll share an example. We're fortunate enough to be able to we picked up multiple different federal offices in the area because you have to be vetted through the FBI. So, you're badged, and very specifically, we have to have cleaners go there that are badged and processed. And we had a cleaning job happen at one nearby that's a government office, and Dave and I were in helping clean the floors, the carpets. And we had basically a complaint from a woman who worked in one of the offices, and we hadn't been there long. It's really nothing we had done, but she was complaining about her floor being dirty, and it was really dirty. I don't know how it got that dirty. But as she's just complaining about it, because we're the cleaning company, Dave and I stopped, brought all of our equipment over, and said, "Okay, mission, we're going to get this floor clean." And it was a task, but we're able to facilitate her in the moment. She's just happy as can be. We're still cleaning those offices every day, And we love when that happens. Now, Crystal Clean Cares allows a person, even just working in a cubicle or a resident living somewhere, anyone can reach out and go, hey, I'm really unhappy with this, or I think you might have missed this, or I would like to see this done.
Yeah.
And if it falls within something that we can do to make them happy, or again, just on a personal level, we want to do what we can.
Yeah.
And we realize there's limits. We can't do everything that everyone wants all the time, but we'd like to know when we're doing good or when we're not doing as good, or if there's just something that's maybe an anomaly that you go, yeah, we can do that next time we show up. And we have a process for that. I mean, obviously, we're able to create work orders and call our lead tech. Hey, can you go over there and help the cleaner out with this particular project? Or you have to come and go with supplies anyway. Will you knock this out for us? We're able to do that, and it's coached into our staff. Not to go, why would I do that? It's not in the scope. We don't want to hear that. We want to be like, no, let's just take care of it. It'll make the client happy.
Wow. I'm going to unpack one thing that I think is amazing here. You just said that you and Dave's the owner, were out cleaning. And one of the big principles, I'm a high-performance coach, and one of the things we teach in high-performance leadership is that we don't have followers in a business. We have collaborators. And we are in it, demonstrating it, role modeling it, day in, day out, wherever it's applicable. We got to step in, we do it. There isn't a multi-dimensional piece here where I couldn't possibly clean because I'm the general manager or I'm the owner. No, if needs to be done and we need to step up, all hands on deck, let's get it. Can you talk about that idea or the installation of it?
It is a mindset. I can't even say that Dave and I have sat around and had a discussion to go, when we have the opportunity to jump in and help, let's do it and set an example. We don't have those conversations.
You just do it.
But at the same time, we do it all the time. You know, we're out in the warehouse helping move things around and arrange things or prep for jobs. Or, you know, one time we have a country club that just scheduling issue and nobody shows up on Saturday morning. My phone rang from my client, 7 a.m., nobody's here. And typically our cleaners show up between 5, 6 a.m. So I'm like, okay, let me make a couple of calls. And like I said, scheduling, just a miscue. And like, we'll be right there. And I didn't know who would be right there, but I was like, we'll be right there. And, you know, I called Dave and I called our operations team, and we only had a select few people that could make it. And so we started calling some cleaners like, hey, you want to come help us out? And next thing you know, by 8 a.m., we're all there cleaning, including Dave and myself, gone through sweeping, mopping, vacuuming, cleaning a country club top to bottom because that's what needed to be done. In fact, it was an opportunity to clean even more extensively than normal and make sure that we made a good representation of going, you know what, if there's a miss, we're going to fix it. Plus, we're out there doing it anyway. You know, do it extra well while you have the chance. It makes the client happy. You're going to keep them and retain them, and they are still a client. And so moments like that, I mean, we are proud of it, but I hope that it's just coached in and we don't even give it a thought. We just do it.
Two things I want to unpack here. One is, if there's a problem, our focus is always to make it right. One thing that I'm not hearing you say is, it's not my fault. Somebody else's. It's got an excuse. I'm denying the fact that they're not supposed to be there. Da, 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 da. Blame, excuse, denial are all principles of things that we don't have as part of the Crystal Clean philosophy.
We always discuss solutions. I mean, again, we are wired that way for whatever reasons. If there's a problem, that means, okay, well, what can we do to resolve it and make it better? Solution focused.
Yeah, and then two, it's like 11th hour, we get it. I consider that, when we think about what you've just shared, is going the extra mile. And one quote that I love is, go the extra mile because it's lonely there. And that's just a part of the fabric of this. The part I really enjoy, too, is you shared it wasn't something we sat down and thought about. We just stepped up and did the work. So it's like inherent into our culture and into our beings that we're going to, hey, if there's a deficit here or something was misscheduled or whatever that might be, well, okay, we got it. Let's get it. Let's go get it. Let's take care of it. That's a big part of that last part of the great communication, great systems, consistently. And the great communication part with consistency, and then get out there and handle it. So I just want to commend for that. That's awesome. So cool to hear. So when we think about, if you can break down the different types of cleaning you're capable of, I'll give you a little bit of seed idea here. We talking about a single office, maybe a once-a-week cleaning, to a medical office with specific requirements and compliance. That sounds like something. An industrial area where they have specific requirements and compliance to getting authorized for federal government work, like this whole spectrum of stuff. So can you talk a little bit more about like the different types of cleaning you can do, and you're authorized and you're willing to get certified where you need to be or get clearance where you need to be? A little bit more on that. Like, what are the different categories?
So besides basic office cleaning where people will come and go and take out the garbage, clean the restrooms, surfaces, floors, break rooms, I guess you mentioned medical. And so you're right about compliance. And not that it's not overly rigorous, but you have to do some research. And there are some certifications that will apply in some areas. If you go to do an operating room, as an example, you might have bloodborne pathogens, different hazardous waste problems, and helping the cleaners appreciate what they will do or not do in any of these areas. And, of course, the disinfecting and making sure everything that you use needs to be disposable. So being able to figure all that out on your own, because like I said, it's not like you just go take a course on it. There's not a local course to go, here's how you clean an operating room or a medical office or an area that needs to be sterilized. So you do your research, and you put together training for your staff. And there are certificates available, though, the deeper you dig. And we go to ISSA almost every year, and that is the big cleaning show. So for all the big facility manager cleaning companies, that's when you scale up from a Crystal Clean local, you have the big national facility managers. They'll go to a show like this in order to learn all these things. And so we put ourselves in a position to go and be educated at ISSA for those reasons, so that when we do get out to, I think it's okay to say, Lee Health, they have most of the medical facilities in our area, that they have some trust and confidence in us doing things correctly. And they ask us to prove it out before we're able to step in and do any cleaning. So that one is unique. The federal offices, like I said, where there's the background checks and all the things necessary to make sure the cleaner meets a requirement. Again, it elevates your game a little bit. It's not that it's difficult so much as it's a government process. So it's a little slow and a little cumbersome, but it's doable. So we've done that. And then that helps us get more of that type of work. So we're benefiting ourselves even as we try to help a client. You go, well, that elevates our game. And all of a sudden now we're qualified to do more really big or more specific type of office cleanings. And that's another reason it's a growing market for us and why we really want to pursue it and do more.
The things that I love here is that you have the size, scale, awareness, capacity to grow, to serve at the high levels, meaning there's a lot of maybe rhythms. We'll say rhythms, like throughout the day we have to clean maybe every day for a certain specific thing. We have the size to do that. And if there's a hiccup, like we talked about earlier, we have high-level management, owner, willing to step in and take care of what needs to be taken care of as we course correct on our side. And it's a huge tell on a company. It's like, no, it's not my job. Our approach, the Crystal Clean approach, is no, it's all of our jobs. So we're going to get in and step in and do what we got to do. The other side to it is, no matter the type of business, if we have to get certified, we're in it. If we have to get approval, we're in it. And then finally, and one thing that we've talked about in previous podcasts, is that we're continually educating our team to understand different things that come up with a proactive approach and a name for it, Crystal Clean University. So could you talk a bit about that idea of, if you go into a job and it requires a higher level of competency or a high level of frequency or whatever that looks like, we're in our university filming videos.
Well, that's why it went from just onboarding and training to Crystal Clean University, because we realized we want to make it more robust. We want to make it more educational. And from the very simplistic end of it as to why we use color-coded rags and any of the given cleaners that we choose for multi-surface and mirrors and stainless and so on the floors, especially get into degreasers and things that will disinfect as you go categorically. It's important to know all those things. And even people who have experience cleaning don't necessarily know how we work or how we want to work. And we have a definite process. So educating them there. But then Crystal Clean University, of course, expanded. We're like, well, this is the time now to bring the cleaners that we want to send out to a medical job, make sure they know what they're getting into with bloodborne pathogens and what's required for sterilization in certain key areas, because there are very specific requirements. So best way is up front. We have one of the people that work here, again, just proactively kind of took it on herself and said, I can make those videos. So we have an in-house source for putting together videos to help educate people. We have a station where, come on in, let's get you a soda and relax and watch some videos, sign off here, have any questions. So Crystal Clean University has been, for us, it's evolving still, and it's been a little bit of a journey from just training and onboarding to truly educating. And I think it makes a difference for the cleaners to know that they work for a company who's actually trying to help them elevate their cleaning game as well, because whether they stay with us or move on somewhere else even, they're learning, and everybody feels good about that.
So what I'm hearing here is that it's not just a one-time setup of onboarding process and training. There's a continuity, and we're going to come back to that C word, a consistency with education. And then there's videos that serve as sort of legacy to assure that the fundamental foundation for how we approach specific jobs or specific things are lived into. And I'm almost certain in those videos, the reflection in those videos in the university reflect on the company culture, company values, the attitude with which we work, we'll call it the Crystal Clean difference.
We have a video for that.
Yeah.
And all these, of course, in English and Spanish.
Yeah.
So
that's amazing. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. So the next area I want to cover is what's the service areas for these different types of cleaning? And we're Southwest Florida based, so if you want to break that down, that'd be great.
All right. So as it relates to office cleaning specifically? Or?
Yeah, if you want to break down office cleaning through high-end, some of the bigger buildings that have been built in the last decade down here in Southwest Florida, 4-story, 5-story, whatever that looks like through that lens.
From extensive warehouse spaces with offices in them to, like I said, more or less high-rise. I know compared to some really big cities, I guess we don't go all that high, but no, we easily go up into the 20-some stories in some cases. And a lot of 4- and 5-story buildings. So with that, again, comes a need to diligently follow a routine. That's probably the biggest learning curve when you get into a new project. So get to know the client, get to know what they're doing. There's always hot spots and areas that you must attend to probably daily. Other areas are going to be kind of weekly. And by routine, we'll take care of this section of floor on Monday, this section of floor on Tuesday, this section on Wednesday. You build in the routine that makes sense so that you're not over cleaning and overcharging, so that you maintain a budget. And also, honestly, the environment itself. Oftentimes, different types of offices have different staffing, people that come and go. You can get into an engineering office, as an example. The front end, meticulously clean. You get into the back end with the guys coming and going from the field, and wow, just you're dragging in dirt every day. And so you see what you're getting into, first of all, in the initial visit, but really that first couple of weeks of cleaning may dictate whether you're adjusting your scope of work completely or how often, how frequently you attend to something specifically. But ultimately, it is, in the office environment, cleaning is cleaning. It's just that, but it's top to bottom, and we have to discern what's most important and how to spread things out evenly, consistently, so that as people come and go, they're happy. It's clean. The garbage is taken care of. The restrooms especially are clean. The front lobby is especially clean. Places that they need to feel that they're getting what they're paying for.
So the part I'm hearing here is that there's different rhythms. It's part of the setup process and the onboarding of a client process. We're testing the rhythms to see what works. And then once we define that, we live that into a continuity of that rhythm. And what I mean by rhythm is like every day we're going to be doing certain things. Every week we're going to be doing certain things. And if we need to adjust back and forth to maybe every other day or to, less than weekly.
Yeah, that's where weekly, on the front end it can be tricky. And one of the things that can skew it, I know a lot of people think only in square footage. And I try not to do that. We try to really analyze things for practicality. What is it we're really dealing with? What's it going to take to make the client happy? Because that's a certain amount of labor hours or this consistent pattern of cleaning that we want to set up. People that come in and only look at square footage and say, well, a person can clean up to, and I'm not kidding. Some people bid it in a 5,000, 7,000. I've heard up to 10,000 square feet, by the hour in certain, like especially in an office environment. They're looking and going, well, this isn't used as much. Only 10 people work over here, and it's got but square footage can really kind of kill you on the front end. We need to discern what it's going to take to make sure the client is happy, And as we go through categorically in all the office areas, that we're attending to it at the right times with the right touches.
The part I really love about what you're sharing is that you can have, let's just say, a 5,000 square foot space, but you could have 1,000 square foot that's high traffic coming in from the field with high dirt. And that 1,000 square feet of the 5,000 total cleaning space could be on a daily basis, where the rest of it could be on an every other day or weekly basis. And what you're trying to define is for that particular customer and their workflows, how we can best fit to keep things at a certain level of cleanliness over time. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, that's correct. Every job is different. Every space is different. And so, again, in the front end conversations with people, when we have an understanding to go, we're going to come in and we're going to figure it out. If we can spend less time here and even adjust our pricing to you, we will. If we come in and it's not staying clean, let's talk about why. Is it about time? Is it about the actual labor? We'll make adjustments as needed through the course of time. And that's always been the key to success with all of our good clients, that we both want to be reasonable about what does this take and make the correction, and then we'll move forward and everybody's happier for it.
Man, I love that. It's like evolution and process. We think about this is the approach. Then when we get in, boots on ground, we'll adjust and we'll let you know.
Yeah, there's no one size fits all.
Yeah.
Hardly ever, right?
So on the other side of this, if we think about service areas, we're in Southwest Florida. So can you break down the service areas that we provide these different types of cleaning, city-wise? And
sure. We in a primary, the recurring cleaning is the process that we've been talking mostly about, where you go in and do just the regular janitorial services. Services beyond that, floors will always need more care from time to time. So when you get into floor care, do you have currently vinyl for all the new facilities? Almost everything is the new luxury vinyl tile, which is very nice. It's easy to clean. It looks good. That's why it's so popular. It's very durable. You might get into old linoleum, old tile and grout. In the warehouse spaces, like we do actively, pull out big scrubbers and go out and clean warehouse floors. So flooring is one area where between carpet, tile, and vinyl and concrete surfaces, interior and exterior, as you start to talk about concrete, you go, well, now let's look outside. Another service would be power washing. And power washing, again, has all the unique things that come with it. It depends on what type of surface and how new or how old it is and what's happening to it. Even algae takes on different tones. We've got green and black and orange, and they're all a little different. Sometimes you get stains from the water systems and the rust. And, can you get this off? Can you get it clean? Usually the answer is yes. We usually can look at it and identify it and know what product and how much pressure and how are we going to get that clean. So pressure washing is a whole other category that if that comes up, and it will, we're able to service that. Windows. So with pole systems, usually anything up to 3 stories is fair game to work from the ground. If you need to go beyond that, you can bring in lifts, or we don't do rappelling, but rappelling would be the next one beyond that. We might be able to connect you to someone who rappels, but we're not dabbling in that right now. That's a specialty of its own. But windows and glass, interior, exterior, there's always going to be a time where a client looks and goes, hey, can you get that clean as well? Or just as an opportunity to make sure that we're servicing them at the highest of levels. Those are the key services that will keep their entire facility clean.
Yeah.
And we provide all of them.
And then from the geographical locations, we're talking about Fort Myers for sure. And could you go through just the geographical locations where these services are provided?
Yeah, so Fort Myers being the epicenter of it all, it starts here, and we have most of our work around us in Fort Myers. But the flow and the growth with Florida, Southwest Florida, you get down into estero, high growth area. We have a lot of work in estero. Come down a little further to Bonita, and in Bonita Springs we have a lot of work because that growth it's been there for years. It's still growing, and continue down into Naples and the surrounding area. So we have a lot of work all the way through, really. Fort Myers, estero, Bonita, Naples, Fort Myers Beach, and Sanibel, out on those edges and the islands. We've, again, being here 40 years, we have quite a bit of work in each of those areas. And it's expanded now, too. I've noticed North Fort Myers is kind of taking shape as we get out to 75 and MLK in that corridor. We're actually working currently on one of the new world headquarters coming in right there, Suncoast Beverages. We're working out there presently with some post-construction cleaning. And It's a growing area, even a little bit in Lehigh, and certainly over in Cape Coral. We have communities, HOAs, banks, and so Cape Coral is on our list. And yeah, in general, Southwest Florida, if it's not too far north, we're doing it.
Got it. Okay. So it's amazing to think about in the context of a small single office scenario to a multi-story big, whether it's an industrial space or a multi-tiered office space, through medical, through federal government, whatever it is that we need to do, we're on it. And we have the team, the scale, the size to accommodate, depending on the size, the frequency, cadence, those kind of things, but also the amount of team effort, people on the job. Anything else you want to share through that lens?
No, I think you're correct that there was a time where maybe we'd say, well, we kind of cap out here, but I don't think there's a cap now.
Yeah.
The bigger, the better. We love taking on big projects. It really just means more people and better scheduling.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, once you get the tools and the people, all of this refined, and we have that, I don't think there's a project that would be too big for us. We would be able to pull together a team and a process and a schedule to make it happen.
So I love this idea because when you talk this through, this podcast and many others, we've talked about the scale process, and the more team we bring in, the bigger we'll call it the family on the team side, but then we have more leverage on the customer side, client side, so that we're able to go into organizations and have multiple options for getting team in, whether it's middle of the night or after hours, before hours, whatever that looks like. We continue to scale, bring them into our university, help them understand the culture. If they're not a good fit, they may go somewhere else or they may be let go. But those that are a good fit are part of this, and we have a growth plan for the team as well as for the client, depending on their needs and so on and so forth.
Yeah, we really enjoy helping our cleaning staff grow up the chain, if you will. Like I said, when somebody makes it to lead tech, we love it. Yeah. You really can't have too many lead techs. I mean, if we had a whole family of lead techs, we'd just be a better company. And
we've talked about this in previous podcasts, but I really think we need to address it here. The lead tech, at least from my perspective, is that extra set of eyes, extra set of quality assurance that comes in to make sure things are lived into on a consistent basis. And if there's any degradation in performance or anything like that, very common in the cleaning industry that we've talked through. Not that there is, but if there is any, we're on it. And the lead tech's job is to assure. It's almost like an assessment, scorecard, report card. How are we doing in these areas? Are there any areas we need to bump up? Are there any areas we're excelling in? And they report back to keep this system rolling. And I just can't say this enough. Consistency of excellence over the long term. Questions, thoughts, insights, takeaways?
No, that's always the goal. So I appreciate spending some time with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we wrap up, next steps for people, if they want to get a hold of Crystal Clean, is to go through the...
Absolutely. So we have our Fort Myers office and our Naples office now. But basically, if you go to cleaningfortmyers.com or call us at 239-936-7700, you could check us out at our website. And, of course, you could prompt us and we'll give you a call back. Or if you call us directly, maybe Janie will answer and ask for Jeff. I'd be happy to talk to you.
Yeah, and I want to make sure as we close this podcast down that flow state of getting response quickly is one of Crystal Clean's superpowers. And not only getting response, but getting on site to do a discovery or a review is part of that process. Try to do that within a day or so, you had mentioned.
Yes.
Sometimes same day. And then get that proposal turned around within 2 or 3 days. Big part of that. And then depending on the need for the job, if you get the proposal turned around, it's approved, and they say, can you start on Monday? Typically you have a space there to get things onboarded and properly set up. But if there's a specific need, you've been known to accommodate through that lens. These are all critical ingredients of what we call the Crystal Clean experience. Anything else you want to wrap up with based on what I've just shared as part of that process, or you feel like we covered it?
I think we covered all of the things we needed to cover on office cleaning today. And again, if anybody wants to know more, just reach out.
So good. Thank you so much. Cleaning with Purpose podcast on office cleaning and all kinds of cleaning. Covered. Done. Thank you, my man. It's been an honor.